Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.
My friends and I always tune into the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Todd is entertaining, informative, and always delivers the goods.
Todd might not tell you what you want to hear, but he's going to tell you what you need to hear. And all you got to do is listen.
Hold on, Todd. Don't let go. It's time for the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome to the Todd L. Levitt Marijuana Law Podcast. Good morning, good evening, and good night, and Happy New Year. I'm yours truly, attorney. I'm yours truly with Craig Russell, attorney Todd L. It's an L, Craig Levitt, broadcasting and podcasting in a new decade. Still in the middle of the mitten, still in the mothership, the Black Diamond Group mothership, and we are still in a nutrient field. Clones. Little snowy out here where we're at, Craig, but other than that, everything looks really good.
Yeah, everybody saw some snow around New Year's. So I have a question. You emphasized the L for the first time. Has someone thought you not saying Todd L. Levitt? Did they say you say something else, or?
I don't know. The L. There's no. I don't even have a middle name. I just thought it flows with my name, Todd L. And back in the days of the fraternity in the '80s, the Animal House Sig Ep fraternity that I was a part of, it was Love 'em and Leave 'em Levitt. So that's what the L stood for. I'm sure Jen's gonna be happy about that one. But that was back in the '80s. This is the Roaring '20s. But Craig,
you're past the statute of limitations on the '80s stuff, man. She can't get mad about that now. Come on,
I'm in my 50s for God's sakes.
Yeah, so am I.
Oh, that's right. You turned 50 over Christmas.
I did. So how was your New Year's? Did you do anything exciting on New Year's?
Absolutely not. I stay off the roads and stay low key, and too many amateurs out there, and it's just dangerous on New Year's Eve. I mean, in years past, I've been in Chicago, out west. I'm typically somewhere shredding the gnar on my Burton custom snowboard. I'm riding a 164 with jagged edges right now. It's pretty chiseled down too, so I could get a good edge. But this year, I just stayed local.
Stayed low key. Yep. We just stayed in, ordered some takeout. I think I was asleep actually before the ball even dropped. Yeah, I've seen plenty of ball drops. It's the same every year. They drop that big ball and everybody sings, and yeah.
For the second year in a row, the Levitt Familia here, we celebrated the Australian New Year, which took place approximately 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So, on New Year's Eve, by I think 10 o'clock, I mean, I was spent. I was two sheets to the wind because Australia. I'm celebrating New Zealand, Australia now every year. That's what I'm doing. So. 12 hours later, I'm a half a day into the new year already.
You're already set. You're already taken care of. It's all good.
I mean, it's kind of crazy, just because the ball drops in New York. I mean, out on the West Coast, they're 3 hours behind. I mean, they're waiting. You know, if you're at where we're at in Eastern Standard Time, you know, at 3 a.m. our time is when they celebrate the New Year. So it's kind of crazy wherever you're at, I suppose. But it's always a good time.
As long as it doesn't do like what you remember the old Y2K bug, when it was going to be 2000 and everything was going to go black and we were all going to die and everything. As long as it doesn't do that, you know, I mean, I think it's the same thing. The ball drops, everybody sings, you know, Auld Lang Syne, and then they play Frank Sinatra, and then everybody leaves. It's always the same deal. And then, you know, Ryan Seacrest and blah, blah, blah.
I'm over Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. But,
yeah.
I was at in Y2K. I was at the Pontiac Silverdome watching Metallica. And at midnight, I think they were playing One. And I just looked up at the Silverdome ceiling expecting the whole thing to just come crashing down on my noggin. Remember, we thought we were going to have water problems. We thought the computers weren't going to be able to turn over. I mean, there were all kinds of people were storing water. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. But thank God that's all done. And now here we are into a new decade, 2020. All the promise of a new decade and all the promise of a new year. It's all right out in front of us. You got any big plans for this year, Todd? You doing anything exciting other than the 420 Canada Expo on 418 at the Soaring Eagle Casino Resort and Casino?
You know, I'm just going to wake up every day and make good choices. That's the goal. And I always say it all the time. You know, it's just as easy to do what's right as it is what is wrong. And I just think you just need to continue every day to wake up and just, you know, have a talk with yourself and say, hey, look, I'm going to make good choices today, good decisions, and do what's right. So that's just continue with that. What about you, Craig?
Well, you know, I don't ever make any resolutions for the new year. I always try and make, you know, if I'm going to make any kind of a big change or anything, I try to make it a lifestyle change as opposed to a new year resolution. My daughter asked me on Wednesday, do you have any New Year's resolutions? And I said, nope, I'm just going to try to be a good person again this year. And she goes, well, you've done a pretty good job for the past 49. And I'm like, well, I'm trying. It doesn't always work out.
That's nice coming from your daughter.
Yeah.
The New Year's resolution should be not to have a resolution. And, you know, they say whoever they are that all these new gym memberships and all these health clubs and all these things that people join, most people just, you know, flat out after 90 days to 120 days. They go crazy. They got all these resolutions, spend all this money doing something, then they go back into the same old lifestyle. Look, I'm all for people changing. You know, I think you should wake up every day and find one thing that makes you happy. It doesn't matter what it is. I mean, life is stressful enough. It doesn't matter who you are, what your title is, what you do for a job. Life is tough, whether it's health issues or relationships or work or a car going wrong or whatever it is. If you could just have one thing each day to look forward to, take a walk outside, go hang out with your dog, make a phone call, you know, whether maybe that's, you know, getting a certain type of coffee. Just have one thing, coffee. You like that? Cool. Every day, Craig Russell, one thing to make you happy.
But have you ever done motivational speaking before, Todd? You should.
Kind of. Often I'm invited to speak at business functions, universities. I've spoken at law schools. You know, I taught at CMU and a College of Business for a number of years. So I'm always trying to motivate and, you know, get people making good choices. But Craig,
Todd,
I'm stoked that the Todd L. Levitt Law Show is going to be just turning it and burning it here in 2020. We got a lot of big shows coming up. This show today is going to be huge. We got a lot of information to get to. There is an 11th state that has now legalized cannabis, 21 and older. So we're going to talk about the 11th state to do so. We'll go down a list, start the new year, of all the other 10 states who line up. And we have a country from the EU, the European Union, who's a member. This country is a member of the European Union, who is the first to legalize marijuana in their great country.
That's a big
Europe.
deal.
So we're going to talk about that. There's some new laws that have been signed on a federal level. We're going to talk about those today and much more here on The Big Show.
The Big Show wouldn't be complete and wouldn't start off a brand new year, Todd, if you didn't have a complaint. You have something you need to complain about, get off your chest.
Greeters.
The old people at stores who say hi to you when you walk in, you've got a problem with them?
Any greeter anywhere. I'm sorry. I'm over the greeters. I don't need it. It's not necessary. And, you know, for the most part, when you're walking into a grocery store, more often than not, it's at the end of your day. You're trying to get somewhere. Now, I know most of these people are kind individuals. I mean, they're our loved ones, and they're just trying to make a living. But for the most part, it's just a very unemotional hello. And I'd rather just get in, get my cart that sucks because they all suck, and then drag it through the store, get my groceries, do my end cap shopping. You know what my resolution is in 2020?
What's
to
that?
do more end cap shopping at the grocery store, to buy as much junk food as I can, because I'm joking about that. I'm totally joking about that.
Can I give you a tip about the end caps though? Because I know this for a fact. The front end caps, the ones that face like the big main aisle, that's where the bad deals are. Go to the back end caps, the one that just face another aisle that's really close. That's where the deals are. The back.
Well, those companies pay to have those products in those end caps.
Oh, yeah, they do.
I mean, it's big business for grocery stores, because also, if you notice in a grocery store, think about all the back end deals that are taking place with these major chains and all the distribution companies and manufacturers to get your product eye level. Because if you have a grocery store product, you don't want it at the very top or the very bottom. You want it eye level. But
depending
the greeters,
depending what the product is, if you are talking kids cereal and you want a 3-year-old to see it, so they can push it and go, "Mommy, give me this sugar cereal." You want it at below eye level, and adult cereal is at eye level because you want the adults to be able to see the healthy cereal choices. So it all depends.
Speaking of cereal, back to the greeters. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm over the greeters, not necessary. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm happy they're working, they're employed, but it's just so unemotional, and I don't want to be bothered, so I don't even look at them. But back to the cereal over break. On the History Channel, they had the story of the Kellogg brothers and Post.
Yep. The food that shaped America, or whatever it was called. Totally watched the whole thing. It was great.
Yeah, wasn't that? I never knew there were 2 Kellogg brothers, and I never knew Post was also started in Michigan.
I worked in Battle Creek for a year. That was my very first job in radio. Was working at WBXX in Battle Creek, Michigan. And the radio station was on a big hill, and you could see over town, and you could tell which day it was by the scent that was coming through, because on Tuesdays and Fridays they made Fruit Loops, and on Thursdays they made Cocoa Krispies. Kellogg's is based in Battle Creek. You could smell it all through town. It's a big deal. That used to be 100 cereal companies in Battle Creek. It's crazy.
Yeah, what about Post? Post and Kellogg's, they were competitors.
Very much so, and still are to this day. There is a housing area, a little neighborhood subdivision area called Post Division in Battle Creek, which is where all the Post employees used to live back in the day when Post had big operations there. Now it's all owned by General Foods, and it's diminished, but that's still the headquarters of Kellogg's, and still General Mills still makes cereal in Battle Creek too. It's still the cereal capital of the world.
Wow, that's pretty cool information, Craig Russell.
Steve Lato.
It was a good show, though, wasn't it? A good show, though.
No, it's a great show.
Really interesting. And then it had the history of Ford. I saw that same day.
Yep,
the Ford Motor Company.
Yeah, exactly.
But he had to go to court to fight some association in order to produce and manufacture automobiles. I mean, who knew? Ford didn't invent the engine. He just fine-tuned the assembly line.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He didn't invent the assembly line either, but he fine-tuned the whole process. It used to take him 8 hours to make a car. He got it down to an hour to make a car. And that means you could sell that many more cars if you can make that many more cars. But there was a company, it was the Licensed Automobile Manufacturers of America. You know who would know all about this is Steve Lato. He does not have the corner on that, but it's very interesting. Super interesting.
My cousin Anthony, he works at one of the big automotive companies, which will remain nameless. And he just set a record for a production record, saving the company just probably millions of dollars. So big shout out to AZ and King and my entire family. Love you guys. And congratulations on that great accomplishment to get the entire plant to work at such a high level to accomplish that. I mean, that's saving a company a lot of money.
That's awesome.
And trust me when I tell you, my cousin makes sure that everything is high quality, and
awesome.
It sure is. But in any event, Craig, huge show today. We're going to come back from break and talk about the 11th state over the past week to legalize marijuana, and the country in the European Union who did so as well.
That's right. We will do that when we come back on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. Happy New Year. First show of the new year. Woohoo! With my good friend Craig Russell. Once again, the Levitt Familia was celebrating the Australia New Year. Took place Eastern Standard Time on New Year's Eve at around 9-10 a.m. So, as I said, I was 2 sheets and spent to the wind, Craig. I don't know what the big deal was. Everybody was waiting for some ball to drop, and I was already 12 hours into my new year at that point.
I wish I knew somebody who would celebrate every hour starting at midnight right through to the next, midnight on New Year's Eve. It turns New Year's Day in another country, in another time zone. There's 24 time zones, 24 hours. So you could really start at midnight on New Year's Eve and start celebrating once an hour, all the time zones. I wish I knew somebody who did that. That would be pretty funny to see them by, midnight on New Year's Day, our time, or whatever.
Great idea.
Yeah, you'd be 24 celebrations, man. That'd be a party right there.
Or you could pull a Phil Collins Live Aid. Didn't he perform in England and then hopped on a jetliner and was in New York to perform a few hours later, right? It wasn't at Live Aid?
Yeah, it was at Live Aid. And there was also a famous DJ.
Am I correct about that?
You are correct. You are correct. He did do that at Live Aid. He played in London and Wembley Stadium, and then he flew to, it was either New York or Philadelphia where the second Live Aid was going on, but he did both of those. There was a famous DJ based out of Dallas named Tom Joyner. Back in the 80s, they used to call him the Fly Jock because he would do the morning show in Dallas, get on a plane, and then would fly to Chicago and do the afternoon show on a station in Chicago. Did that every day for like 17 years. This was before computers, before you could just do it on a satellite. So he flew back and forth every day, 5 days a week, and did 2 shows a day. Yeah, he just retired after like 50 years in radio. It was crazy. But
hey, Craig, have you binge watched any show on any of the dozens of new networks that are available out there lately?
Well, I'll be honest. I just got a Roku over the holidays, and so I've been enjoying some Roku shows and things like that. I have not had a chance to watch any of the new big ones, like the Stranger Things or anything like that. What have you been watching?
Okay, I'm all about Baby Yoda. I'm all about The Mandalorian. I'll tell you, that show is certified and bona fide. Disney came out with their version of Netflix over the last number of months, and I think you had mentioned to me off air that they were offering a 30-day free trial, which I took advantage of.
Sure.
And The Mandalorian is set in the time period of Star Wars, and he's just certified and bona fide. And at some point, Baby Yoda appears in the series. I think there's 8 episodes. I've seen them all. But I'm hooked. I've already pre-ordered all my Baby Yoda gear.
You've gotten a Baby Yoda stuffed animal and everything like that?
Yeah, but the show itself is every episode is just intense. Other than Breaking Bad, which is my all-time favorite show. Love Breaking Bad. And then Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead, which I love. And there's a number of other movies, but as far as series. But The Mandalorian is just, man, I'm highly recommending everybody just watch it. It is just crazy great.
When that streaming service first came out, that Disney Plus, about a month and a half ago, that was the number one downloaded show in the entire world, that Mandalorian. It's been recently replaced by The Witched on Netflix.
The Witcher. Oh, yeah. That's
The Witcher? Okay.
Top 2 of the year. Well, The Witcher is, again, Henry Cavill plays The Witcher. He was in The Tudors, another great series. I mean, The Witcher is, again, just bad. It is just certified awesome.
Well,
but not The Mandalorian takes it for me.
Jon Favreau this past week just mentioned that they're going to have a season 2 of that Mandalorian. How could they not? That's the thing that's sucking people into that Disney Plus, man. Originally they thought that's why they didn't make the Baby Yoda dolls or anything until now, because they originally thought everyone was going to be on that Disney Plus to watch, Frozen and all the Disney movies, and yet they find out that everybody really wants to watch that Mandalorian thing, so they didn't make any of the Baby Yoda dolls. So that's why.
Yeah, but Jon Favreau also he had a deal with Disney whereby he didn't want Disney producing any Baby Yodas. He wanted to keep it under wraps until people actually watched the series and they would be surprised, and that's what I was told.
Yeah, but
amongst other reasons. So, but I've already pre-ordered my Baby Yoda bobblehead.
Well, when you get it, you'll have to post a picture of it or send it to me or something like that because I want to see it. But hey, you know what, Todd? This is a law show, right? We talk about the law.
I guess it is, and we are. Yes, that's true. I am.
We should probably get to some of this marijuana stuff that's happening in the country. You said something about there's now an 11th state that has now made recreational marijuana legal?
The great state of Illinois, everybody. Yeah. Yep. The Illinois becomes the 11th state to legalize 21 and older marijuana. And not only that, but part of the legislation was to erase. You ready for this, Craig? So
Sure.
21 and older. But it's estimated that the state is going to remove close to 116,000 convictions for individuals who were found guilty of possession of 30 grams or less. So that's pretty cool. And that's also under the new law. So not only did Illinois legalize marijuana, 21 and older, not medical, I'm talking just recreational, but they're also going a step further to expunge all of those records, which is awesome.
That's a good thing. Not only is that significant, but it's also significant now it joins Michigan as the second state in the Midwest to have legalized marijuana. Now you've got your East Coast states, you've got your West Coast states, now you've got a couple in the Midwest. Now it's got to be in the South. Somebody in the South has got to step up. Who do you think could be in the South the most?
Well, as you said, you're correct. Illinois is 11th state to legalize it. Medical right now, we're at 33. And just to kind of run down before we decide who in the South is going to come aboard, we have California.
Obviously.
California.
Yeah.
I was told I got to pronounce the R better. California.
Yes, you do.
Nevada. Thanks, Craig.
Yeah.
Nevada. Just reminded me of something.
Okay.
Oregon, Washington, the great state of Washington, Colorado, of course, Alaska, Illinois, Michigan, Maine, Vermont, and I believe Massachusetts rounds that out. But in the South, man, I don't know. It's a tough one. Florida. They're already a medical state, so I think they're next in line to become fully rec.
And which that makes a lot of sense, because the aging population that's in Florida, it's a big retirement area. And of course, there's a lot of medical marijuana issues when you're an aging population, glaucoma, things like that. So you would think that Florida, and also, let's just think about Florida for a second. How could this not be a recreational state? If you were going to make any state in the country recreational, Florida seems like it would be the logical choice, just to be honest.
I totally agree. Now, last year, Utah and Missouri, together with Oklahoma, became medical, so that they rounded out the 33 states, as I mentioned earlier. So you had Utah, Missouri, and Oklahoma also become medical to round out. So now we have 33 medical states and 11 legal. So you can see where things are going.
And this, of course, is an election year now, 2020, and I know there's going to be some states that have elections that will have end up having marijuana on the ballots. I know our buddy Sparky let me know South Dakota is going to have it on the ballot this year for recreational or even medicinal. I'm not sure which one it is, but I know it's going to be somewhere. That's going to end up happening a lot too. It's going to be probably a lot of places that we don't even know about are going to end up having it on the ballot for 2020, and it's just going to keep growing. Plus, I still think this is going to be a hot button issue come the presidential election. I think this is going to be one of those things. A lot of the Democratic people who are running for president have already said ending federal prohibition should be on their list of things to do when they get elected.
Yeah, there's a lot of things in the new year that are going to take place. One of the new laws as we go into the new decade here, there's a federal law that if you're prohibiting anyone under 21 years of age from purchasing tobacco products now, that was signed into law. So 21 and older to purchase tobacco products. There's a new robo-call bill that was signed. The president signed the new robo-call bill. So if you're one of the gazillions of individuals, as I have, that has received these just calls that just are annoying as all heck, there's a new bill now with some serious penalties. My question is, and I didn't really delve into the bill and read the language of it, but how does that work? So if you get a call, how are you to report that? How is the citizen out there going to be able to take that call and then report it and see it through where that company is now in violation of new federal laws? We're going to have to get Leto on because he's a big consumer lawyer for that one also down the road.
Yeah, he's going to have to know. It's got to have something to do with the do not call list. I'm sure if you get a call and you report it on the do not call list, maybe they'll have a lot more stringent laws. Maybe right now you put a number on the do not call list or whatever, they investigate it and they say, well, there's not much we can do about it. They can try and block it from your phone, blah, blah, blah. But now maybe they'll just say, hey, we're going to shut those people down, because I get those things all the time. I will say this much. I don't know if this has anything to do with anything, I haven't gotten nearly as many of those in the last just couple of weeks, it seems like.
Same.
I don't know if it's the holidays or if all of a sudden these people are going, uh-oh, we better watch ourselves before it even, gets out of hand because we're going to get caught this year and blah, blah, blah. I mean, maybe it's going to, start putting some of these people out of business. But annoying. Are you the kind of person like I am, Todd? If you look down and don't recognize the number, I don't answer it. I let it go right to voicemail.
Yeah, I'm with you right there. Exactly. Well, these companies, what they do is they obtain phone numbers. So if you live in, Illinois or Ohio or anywhere anywhere, they're calling you with one of your local area codes. So, that's how they're going to get you to pick it up. But yeah, look, if it's that important, let them leave a message. And here's another thing, folks. Here's another thing, just to be, to be mindful of all the scams out there. The IRS, in regards to taxes, you hear about these scams that go around where people get phone calls, someone claiming to be the IRS that you owe money. The IRS is not going to call you on the phone.
Nope.
I promise you that. You're not going to get a call from the IRS. You're going to get a letter in the mail from the IRS. So
same thing.
Don't fall for that.
And same thing with a debt collector. If you owe a bill for something, they are not going to only call you. You will get something in the mail that says we are trying to collect a debt. If they call you and say you owe $2,200 to blankety blank or whatever, you'll be like, if they ever, first place, they never leave a message. But if they ever do, or I ever end up talking to them, I say, where's the certified letter? Where's the mail? Prove this to me. Because they want information. They're trying to mine for information.
There's lawyers who, represent a multitude of different credit card companies, and that law firm will send you a letter or try to contact you trying to collect that debt. Now, what I would tell you is if you're an individual, depending upon which state you live in, and you collect disability, so you get SSI, and that's all you get, and you get a letter from one of these attorneys, my understanding is, and again, here's another Lato question, that they cannot collect on your Social Security. They cannot go after your disability.
Nope.
So if you're on, disability SSI, and that's not to say you should go out and incur large amounts of debt, and that's wrong in itself just because they can't come after you. They can always get a judgment against you and hold on to it as long as they renew it every 10 years. That's another thing, Craig. If somebody sues you and has a judgment against you, they're required after, I think it's 10 years, again, Lato. Boy, we keep talking about Lato a lot. But after 10 years, they have to renew it. I thought it was 8. It could be 8, but I think it's 10. So, for instance, if somebody sued you 10 years ago and there's a judgment in a courthouse against you, it's affecting your credit report, and now it's 10 years and a day, and they didn't renew it with the court, they have to file some document, the law firm or the individual, then it's uncollectible. You see?
Exactly. So
I don't know how we deviated from marijuana all the way to debt collection.
That's how it happens. But you're writing all these questions down for later when we have them on again, right? We will have a whole show asking them questions.
We really need them back on, yeah.
Yes,
But Craig, when we come back from breaks, I think you're about to tell me we have to go to break, right?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Because you winked at me. And that was not like a love wink. That was like Todd ending the segment.
Oh, that was me doing the wrap-up. Hey, we got to wrap this one up.
What are we going to talk about when we come back here on the show?
We're going to talk about 2 letters, EU, which is not PU or FU. It's EU. What does EU stand for, and why is it important to us? We will talk about that coming back on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show.
Welcome back to the Todd L. Levitt Law Show, broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership with my good friend Craig Russell, the Muscle. First show of the new decade. How you doing, Craig?
I am doing fan-flippin-tastic. How are you, Todd?
I'm doing well. I've got Baby Yoda on the mind, so I pre-ordered as many Baby Yoda products as possibly exist out there after watching The Mandalorian. So again, I just recommend that. That's just such a great show, The Mandalorian and The Witcher on Netflix. Two great shows right there, back to back.
Are you after the show today? Are you, instead of going out and shredding the gnar, are you going to go home and binge watch The Mandalorian again?
Yeah, I am going to watch The Mandalorian again because I missed you always miss things when you go back. Oh yeah, or you miss the dialogue or whatnot. But I've already shredded today. I've already been out there in the winter on the fat bike with the studded tires out there. It's been a lot of fun. Hey, Craig, I have a question for you.
I have an answer for you.
So let's take the European Union.
Oh, that's the EU. That was the EU we're going to talk about, the European
That's the
Union?
EU,
okay.
exactly.
I got you. Okay.
We have, and we are so thankful. We love all of our listeners in Europe. You know, we have listeners in Ireland, France, Denmark, England, Germany, Spain, Italy. We have so many listeners in Europe, Austria. Which country do you think is now leading the way in regards to legalization of marijuana in Europe?
If I had to make a guess, I would say France, but I'm probably wrong.
You know, we talk about France all the time because we have a lot of listeners. And again, big shout out to all our listeners in France. I got to get over there. Their New Year celebration on
crazy.
TV.
Crazy.
It looked like it would be the one place I'd want to go.
Yep. So. The Eiffel Tower right there. It looked totally awesome.
Oh, man. Just beautiful. But just the history, the architecture, all the museums. Definitely got to get to France. And maybe one of our listeners can send us an email and we can go to France someday. But but here it is. You ready?
Yes.
It's a country that sits near Belgium, France, and Germany.
Okay.
Luxembourg. Luxembourg has now joined our great friends in a great country to the north, Canada, and Uruguay, together with our country, not on a federal level, but in legalizing cannabis as a country, Luxembourg.
Luxembourg, isn't that like one of the smallest countries in the world? Can't you throw a rock across it or something? I thought.
You know what? It's a beautiful place. Great people. If you've ever met anyone from Luxembourg. And they're very progressive there. So they joined Canada and Uruguay.
Wow, Luxembourg.
So, Uruguay, yeah, Luxembourg.
Luxembourg. Man, I bet it does look a lot more beautiful now if you happen to be partaking in some stuff. Everything probably looks a little nicer now, a little hazier.
I think France is going to be next. What's up with England, with the UK? What are they waiting for?
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, they're obviously the British are very kind of staid when it comes to some things, but they're very progressive when it comes to other things. You would think this would be one of those things they would be progressive.
I have a lot of friends from England, from the UK. I love England. I love watching. You ever watch rugby, by the way? You want to talk about a sport that is just brutal? Rugby.
It is. It's kind of
it is.
It is. It's between that and Australian rules football. Have you ever watched Australian rules football? That's a crazy
Are you talking about what we call soccer? Or are you talking about rugby?
No. In Australia, they have this thing called Australian rules football, and it's kind of like American football, but kind of like rugby. They play in this huge oval. It's about the size of 2 football fields. And basically, they have a big, oversized, what it looks like a football, and they're all just running around in, tank tops and shorts. They don't, they don't have pads or anything on. And basically, you have to take this ball and you have to try and kick it through these 2 long posts. And you get 6 points through one post and 1 point through another, and that's the only way you score points.
You sure you're talking about rugby, Craig?
I'm 100% sure. If you ever get when we get off the show today, look up Australian rules football. It's only played in Australia, but it's crazy to watch. It was one of the first things.
I will look that up.
It was one of the first things they used to show on ESPN when ESPN didn't have anything back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Okay, but let's go back to rugby. Rugby, there's no pads.
Nope.
And you're scrumming.
Yep.
It's so intense. The team from New Zealand. I love New Zealand. We actually have listeners in New Zealand and Australia. And by the way, little trivia. The Lord of the Rings, quite a number of those were filmed in New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, and Lord of the Rings, another great series, and The Hobbit. So, but the New Zealand has one of the top rugby teams in the world, and they do this dance. It's the coolest dance, but they just lost actually on a national level. They lost. I can't recall if it was a semifinals or whatnot. But yeah, rugby is, as a former football player myself, I was a linebacker and defensive end, junior high and high school. Rugby, man, you take a pounding. I got a lot of respect for rugby players.
Yeah, those rugby players, they look at us Americans when they wear all the pads and everything and think we're sissies because between that rugby and that Australian rules football, it's I'm telling you, man, you would love that Australian rules football. It's lots of tackling, lots of running, they have to drop kick these balls to get the points. They have to bounce it on the ground and kick it off the ground. It's really, really intense.
Craig, I know you mentioned it a couple weeks ago when Lato, another Lato reference, was every time you say Lato, you should take a shot. You know,
we'd be loaded by that at this point now in the show. That's
gonna be the new drinking game. Every time you talk about Steve Lato, take a shot.
Okay.
But I know you mentioned it with Lato, but kudos to Major League Baseball for removing cannabis as one of the illegal substances in regards to Major League Baseball. So I'm just waiting for the NFL to follow suit, which, if anybody was going to allow their athletes that they make billions and billions of dollars off of, it would be the freaking NFL allow their players to participate in cannabis. I mean, if 33 states are medical and 11 are legal, what are these sports? What are sports waiting for? Everybody uses it anyhow, Craig. Everybody uses it. So, come on, man.
Come on, Todd.
Come on, NFL.
Come on, Randy Moss. Yeah, no, you'd think.
Love Randy Moss.
It is amazing that Major League Baseball did it first, and they've actually started it now in the minor leagues. So the minor leagues, it's now being taken off. But that was the concession. They're replacing the marijuana part of it with opioids because they've had a couple of high-profile opioid deaths in Major League Baseball this past year. So now the testing is going to shift more to that and away from marijuana in the minor leagues. And that's only going to jump up to the major leagues soon because where do all the major leaguers come from? The minor leagues. That's where, so it's going to end up being part of that. But that's part of their collective bargaining agreement that they do. They have to, the players union and the league has to come up with agreements on some of that stuff, and they make some concessions. I really, you were talking about the NFL and talking about these rugby and all these players in these very, very physical sports. Some of these NFL players, when they retire, they are so broken and their bodies are so they have so much pain and they have so many chronic issues. A lot of them end up going to marijuana because it helps with a lot of their pain. Some of these players, end up retiring super early because they don't want to have to not have a life when they retire. They retire at 32. They are going to live for another 50, 60 years. They want to make sure that they have a quality of life, and marijuana can help that.
Good point, Craig. I mean, solid for sure.
Hey, Todd. So now I've been home, on vacation for the holidays and stuff. I got to go back to work tomorrow and everything. But when I've been home, I've been watching a lot of daytime TV. And you know what's on daytime TV a lot besides like The Price is Right? And
Judge Judy.
Between
Live PD. PD.
That's what A&E has become, is the Live PD network. That's just what they have on all the time on A&E now. When you watch a lot of daytime TV, you see a lot of the judge shows. But you know who also advertises on a lot of those judge shows? A lot of these lawyers for automobile accidents. Been in an accident, injured in an accident. We can help. Blah blah blah. You take any of those injured? I know you do a lot of driver's license restoration stuff, but do you take any automobile accident claims or any kind of stuff like that?
So. I've been practicing law for 26 years now and 12 years in Metro Detroit, and I'm associated with, as I feel personally, the top attorneys in just about every area of law. So I do take phone calls. So if somebody out there, unfortunately, was injured in an automobile accident or a truck or motorcycle or snowmobile or side-by-side, or even has a medical issue, somebody was mistreated at a hospital or passes away at a hospital and something went wrong, you can call my office at 989-772-6000, 989-772-6000. What I'm going to do is I'll talk to you. I've been around long enough to determine what direction I should point you in. So I'm going to point you in a direction whereby you're going to be able to call some of the best lawyers in the state of Michigan, because I'm only licensed in Michigan, who can handle your cases. And more often than not, I'm putting you in touch with my good friend John Marco via his cell phone.
Sure.
So I do take those calls, absolutely. And we've helped out a lot of people over the years who call Levitt Law Firm who have those personal injury, auto accidents type of calls, medical issues as well. But what we specialize in is obviously driver's license restoration, anything and everything to do with a driver's license, and drinking and driving and other low-level misdemeanor cases. So anything and everything to do with operating a motor vehicle under the influence of marijuana, alcohol, or any controlled substance, anything to do with license restoration, interlock violations. I do a lot of violations if the client is someone who didn't blow hot. So these individuals with these ignition interlock devices, Craig, these blow and go devices, and I don't judge people, but they blow hot, and then they call my office and say, hey, I got a violation. The state is yanking my license again. Can you get me back on restrictions? And the first thing I'm going to say is, well, one, I need to see your BAID report, the ignition interlock report, to see when you woke up or when you left work or the party, did you blow hot? Did you blow? And now there's a blood alcohol reading on that device. So if there is a blood alcohol reading, more often than not, I will not take that case because there's nothing I can do. In any type of business out there, you don't want to take money from somebody and not be able to get them any type of relief. And if you do take money and you can't get them relief the first time, you better follow through and make sure you do it the next time. Finish your job. So at my office, we always finish the job. So we'll always follow through until the end.
So in other words, if you can't help them personally, you will point them in the right direction of some great people that can help them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of cases I don't take. In fact, I don't take every license case. I refer a lot of cases out. After all these years, I'm just not taking every single case.
Sure.
But in regards to these ignition interlock devices, there's just all kinds of different types of violations that occur. And there's pages of instructions when you are granted the privilege to drive with these restrictions that you need to read and follow through on. And then if you don't follow through on them and you get violated and you have to go back before an attorney for the state of Michigan and there's no follow through, well, then, you're not going to meet the presumption and you're not going to get put back on restrictions or even a full license at that point.
So basically, the best takeaway we can get from this is you're not going to let anyone down. You're not going to say, sorry, no one can help you. You're just on your own. You're not going to do that.
Well, again, I mean, there's a lot of there's cases out there where, unfortunately, there's nothing you can do, in regards to these ignition interlock devices. But in regards to auto accident, truck accidents, medical issues, yeah, I'll definitely refer you to an attorney that I feel would be somebody who I would want to represent myself or my family. So if as an attorney, I know who the best attorneys out there are. So if I'm going to refer you to somebody, it's going to be somebody that I would refer my own family to.
That's what your 26 years of experience does.
Yeah, I think that's, goes with a lot of different businesses as well. I mean, if I'm walking into a business, are you going to sell me something that you yourself would not use or you yourself would not buy or allow your mother or children to use? No. You shouldn't be that person. When I was a kid, I sold clothes at Merry-Go-Round at Oakland Mall back in the day. I always wore the clothes that I sold because who better than you to tell a customer how it feels, how it is to wear this item because you are actually wearing it and using it. So that's the motto I always go by. Don't ever ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do, and don't ever ask anybody to agree to something that you would not yourself agree to. And that's how I as a lawyer, I participate in representing people. In the end, if I come to you, Craig, and you're my client, and I say, look at Craig, this is as good as it gets. And we've exhausted all remedies. We've exhausted all channels. We've done everything. We have filed the motion. We have advocated. We've tried everything we could. You need to take this deal because it's not getting any better than this. I have to feel comfortable knowing what I know that I personally, if it was me in your shoes, that I would accept that. And so that's how I practice.
Sound advice from a sound lawyer. That would be the Todd L. Levitt Law Show matriarch, Todd L. Levitt.
Matriarch? Aren't I a patriarch?
Yeah, I guess you are the patriarch. You're not the mother of the law firm.
No. I mean, I do look like my sister, but she would be the matriarch, not I. My sister would be that person.
No, I got you. There you go. Hey, we got to take a break on the Todd L. Levitt Law Show. When we come back, we'll wrap up the first show of the new decade on the way.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back to the Roaring 20s, the Todd Levitt Law Show. Didn't think I'd ever say that. I used to hear my grandparents talk about the 20s. Broadcasting and podcasting in the Black Diamond Group mothership, starting a new decade, and we're just turning it and burning it and destroying it with my good friend Craig Russell. No poem required. Russell, how you doing, Craig?
I'm doing fantastic, man. New year, new attitude, new life, new excitement. Yes.
Yes, enthusiasm is contagious, and I say it all the time, Craig. You are one enthusiastic individual, and you know, when I listen to your show, not just our show, but other shows that you do, I feel enthusiastic because you are contagious, my friend.
I try, man. I try my hardest.
No antibiotic required when Craig Russell is contagious. Just enjoy it, soak it up, and go with the flow, baby.
Are you sure about that?
You are a good strain, my friend. There should be a strain called Craig Russell, the Muscle.
We'll have to work on that. We'll have to work on that.
Craig Russell, the Kush.
So we opened the show and we were playing all the music of U2 New Year's Day, but we originally were going to play another song. What was the other song we were going to play?
I was listening again to Hear Nation on in my truck, and I never heard this song or this group before. I called you and said, "Hey, Craig, can we play this song?" And but we didn't pull the plug on it. But who was it, Craig?
The band's called Enough Is Enough, which is a play on the word, the phrase "enough's enough." Enough is enough.
Right, exactly.
And the song's called "Fly High, Michelle." Now they're one of those.
It's a good song. It's a good song.
They're one of those weird '80s hair bands, kind of in the strain of Warrant and Poison and all that kind of stuff. But
I would think Warrant and Poison were bigger than those.
Oh,
guys.
way bigger. These were the guys that were the ones who were opening up for Warrant and Poison, and maybe even opening up for the bands who open up for them on their
they
tours.
They were the undrafted hair band of the 80s.
Yes,
they didn't get drafted. Yeah, let's play it. Can we play some for the listeners? What we're going to play?
Sure. Here we go. Here's a little bit of "Fly High, Michelle" from Enough's Enough. So that's Enough's Enough with Z's in the.
It's a good chorus. I'll tell you. We always talk about what our favorite music and groups are because we do play a lot of great tunage on the show. Dokken is one of my all-time favorite groups of the early '80s, and not Dokken. I'm going with Dokken.
Okay.
That true. Other than Metallica, Dokken. I just can never get enough of Dokken.
And I'm a classic Van Halen guy. You give me Van Halen 2, I'm ready to go. If I had to pick a hard rock band from the 70s and 80s, I'd go Van Halen for sure. That was some of the classic stuff.
Yeah, I love Van Halen. When that came out, oh, wow, that was great.
Not the Van Hagar stuff. That was okay, but I'm talking about David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen and Alex, whatever his last name, Alex Van Halen, and Michael Anthony. That was the band right there, those guys, but...
The riffs, Jamie's crying.
Yeah, Jamie's crying, exactly.
Just all that tunage.
Running with the Devil, great song.
Running with the Devil.
We should play that. We haven't played that in a long time. We haven't played.
Okay, next week. Can you take us out with Running with the Devil?
Sure, we can do that.
There you go. Hey, listen, you're the man, Craig. You're the man. People can't see us, but we're sitting across from one another, and you've got all these buttons in front of you that you're always pushing up and down and doing things. I have no idea what you're doing all the time. We should talk about that sometime because, when we're talking, you're doing like 10 different things at one time to make the show run. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, nobody cares. As long as the show's on, that's all.
They don't care.
They don't care.
It's like talking about end caps at a grocery store.
Exactly.
Like, nobody cares. We had 23 listeners, and now we're down to 15.
Exactly.
And most of them are Amish in our family. So we do appreciate the Amish listening to the show. No doubt about it.
So we will take out the show with Running with the Devil. Todd, we got to go. First show of the new decade's over.
First show of the Roaring 20s. We got a lot of huge shows to come. Tons of cannabis information. We got the 420 Canna Hemp Expo taking place on 4/18 this year. Craig, can't wait till next week. Everybody, we say it all the time. We're not here for a long time. What are we here for, Craig?
We're here for
a good time. Take us out with some Van Halen, baby.
Law Show, brought to you by Chad Mallywell Drilling of Rosebush. Clark Modular Homes, your most experienced and trusted builder in Mount Pleasant. Clear Vision Windows, siding, roofing, and attic installation of Midland. Mackinac Properties and Northern Michigan Vacation Rentals, buying, selling, and renting properties in the Straits of Mackinac region since 1998. Tim's Collision Plus in Roscommon. Harrison Power Sports, Central Michigan's fastest growing full-line Arctic Cat dealer. And Dr. Robert Townsend and Denali Healthcare for your alternative healthcare needs.
Opinions expressed on this radio program do not necessarily reflect the views of this radio station.